Singapore celebrates 50 years of independence this year. One leader who has spent nearly half of that period helping to shape the tripartism that Singapore enjoys today between employers, unions and the government is Stephen Lee, the Employers Federation chief who has stepped down and handed over his reins last year. And the role of employers in this effort is equally paramount.
I think it's really the role of the employer in the tripartite cooperation, because I've witnessed how the competitiveness of a company or a country can be really blunted by adversarial industrial relations. And a company needs a pro-business environment and also industrial peace to be successful. And I think the employers have an important role to play in that tripartite relationship.
Mr. Lee recounts that the Singapore National Employers Federation was formed in 1980. And what really matters after all these years is the friendship and the close working relationship that has been fostered with the government and union leaders.
I found it to be quite rewarding. And actually through successive recessions and witnessing how tripartism can really work in a way to help both the workers as well as the company, that was quite meaningful. I actually find that our working relationship and the building of the trust and mutual respect actually deepens when there's a crisis and when the team, the tripartite team, come together and work very closely, and sometimes under a fairly tight time frame. That's when the relationship can really grow.
Mr. Lee also explained that while companies and workers had different concerns during a recession, what matters at the end of the day is a collective resolve to pull out of the difficult times together.
During a recession, for the company, it's really a matter of survival. And for the workers, it's really a matter of keeping their jobs. So I find that to be very common among different recessions. So by working together to pull out the recession, how to reduce costs and at the same time save jobs. So the solution to the different recessions are pretty much the same. And in that respect, I think our interests are aligned. Unions in Singapore are different. They are committed to working with employers to resolve these issues. So as far as we need the unions to go down to the ground to explain to the workers why we need to take some pain. And at the same time, we need the company's cooperation to retain jobs. So I think the approach to reduce costs, at the same time save jobs, that has been a successful formula for us coming out of different recessions.
And in what ways did the NTUC union leaders stand out during each crisis?
The willingness to go down to the ground to explain painful measures rather than resisting them. Sometimes the recession hits a whole region. And during the 08-09 crisis, it's a good example. Singapore was able to rally, put together a plan with the help of the government, with incentives, and we put in a big-scale training of workers. Therefore, we came out of it and we were able to retain our production capacity fairly intact. So that's why in 2010, when the economy rebounded, Singapore was able to register a double-digit GDP growth. Whereas some of our Asian neighbours who were basically facing the same economic crisis were not able to act as fast. It's difficult to put together an effective fire brigade when the fire is already raging. So you need to put things in place beforehand. So I think for that, Singapore's tradition of a strong tripartite cooperation has supported us well.
Mr. Lee also shared with us some of the challenges he feels will confront the labour movement in the next few years, among them the issue of productivity.
Our domestic population growth is now slowed down to roughly about 1%. And we need to supplement that with another 2 to 3% of productivity growth in order for us to achieve a 3 to 4% overall GDP growth. So that is a fairly big challenge. I think the second one is the constant restructuring, and the pace of change in the economy will only become faster. We are now in the internet age, so NTUC will have to grapple with that. And the last point is really the increase in PMEs. Today we are already close to half of our working population are PMEs, and by 2030 maybe 60% or two-thirds of our working population would be PMEs. So that is a fairly big change for NTUC, and they will have to deal with different base of working population. So I see these are the key challenges.
Mr. Lee has handed over the leadership of SNEF to Dr. Robert Yap, and one area he hopes his successor and his team would continue exploring is the area of portable medical benefits. He believes that with MediShield Life now in place, there's now another chance for both the unions and employers to work together to make the portable medical benefit scheme more user-friendly.